Anyone who's driven through Burbank along the 5 over the last 10 years is familiar with towering mountains of dirt. Los Angeles Metro and Caltrans have been hard at work widening the freeway, which they say will improve traffic. The $1.3 billion project is over 5 years late and $73 million over budget. 20 miles south, Metro is planning another freeway widening project.
Metro still wants to potentially take over 500 parcels here in Downey. Today, in 2020, a predominantly working class neighborhood, a Latino neighborhood, is threatened with extinction.
In many ways, the LA region invented the modern freeway. The Arroyo Seco and Ramona parkways were among the first built in the world. Downtown LA's 4-level interchange was the first stacked junction of its kind.
Like this Hollywood freeway interchange, which sorts flowing traffic 8 ways at once.
These projects also brought another precedent to Southern California, weaponizing transportation megaprojects to carry out so-called slum clearance.
After block of city property is cleared to make way for broad freeways to handle the flow of traffic through the city and to and from suburbia. Valuable city space disappears beneath ribbons of concrete and steel.
The famed 4-level interchange alone displaced more than 4,000 people in a red line neighborhood near Bunker Hill. In South LA, the Harbor Freeway was built through predominantly black communities in the 1950s. Using census data, we estimate the section shown displaced almost 1,200 people.
The way Metro and Caltrans has built freeways here through California, they purposely targeted Black and Latino neighborhoods to build these freeways, to not just bulldoze through these valuable community centers and ruin community, but also to segregate them from the wider suburbs of Los Angeles.
Boyle Heights in the 1950s was a neighborhood home to many Jewish, Mexican, and Japanese Americans denied housing in other parts of the city. It faced some of the most extreme and explicit destruction in the SoCal area. Despite vocal opposition, there would be 6 separate freeways built through Boyle Heights. More than 1 out of every 10 residents are estimated to have been displaced due to their construction. The Santa Monica Freeway, connecting downtown LA to the ocean, was built in the 1960s. Wealthier communities fought the original alignment planned along Olympic Boulevard. It was moved south and erased the affluent black community of Sugar Hill. Further west, in Santa Monica's Pico District, 3,000 homes belonging to predominantly black and brown families were demolished. We estimate construction of the Santa Monica Freeway displaced over 10,500 people. Even as recently as 1993, the Century Freeway demolished 8,000 housing units through largely lower-income African-American neighborhoods. Metro's own blog offers this quote to describe its construction. The 105 violated environmental laws, displaced more than 25,000 people, and left behind a legacy of noise and pollution in some of Los Angeles County's poorest neighborhoods. These are just a handful of examples from the 500 miles of freeways built in Los Angeles County. More than 150,000 people were displaced by their construction. In this 1939 map of redline neighborhoods, we can see how planners targeted so-called undesirable areas with freeway alignments. Nearly 100 years later, many of these same racist planning patterns exist. Black and brown families disproportionately live near freeways, which also mean they live near heightened levels of pollution. Freeways create dangerous concentrations of soot, dust from brake pad and tire wear, toxic vehicle exhaust, and ultra-fine particles that can enter lungs and even bloodstreams. Studies have linked freeway proximity to a wide range of health impacts, including asthma, cardiovascular disease, adverse birth outcomes, dementia, and childhood cancer. It's no surprise then that Los Angeles has one of the highest rates of childhood asthma in the nation, where it's more than twice as common in African American children. Across LA County, more than 1.25 million people live in high pollution zones within 1,000 feet of a freeway.
Our American dream of Futurama on wheels can come true. Our highway engineers know the way.
Even after years of destruction and pollution building wider roads, most people in Los Angeles would be hard-pressed to say their commutes are better.
For the 6th straight year, Los Angeles is the world's most gridlocked city.
You can blame an economic phenomenon called induced demand.
It can be explained by basic economic principles of supply and demand. So as the cost of a good decreases, consumption of that good generally increases, and the same it tends to be true with driving. The one way that driving can become cheaper is when roadway capacity is added in areas with lots of traffic congestion. And that reduces the time cost of driving, at least initially, but then the reduction in the cost of driving leads to increased consumption.
That means more driving and the roads get congested again. We're talking to a team at UC Davis who recently published a paper on how California freeway projects underestimate the car travel they will induce.
So we built a little calculator that can use elasticities to estimate how much induced travel there will be for a given lane mile of the highway. Our estimates based on that, which is very well vetted in the academic literature, was far beyond what was ever captured in an environmental document.
Let's explain this with a real-life example. Metro and Caltrans recently spent more than $1.6 billion to add a lane to the heavily congested 405 freeway over Sepulveda Pass. Officials promised it would decrease traffic.
The 405 widening project may have eased congestion in the short term, but over the past 5 years, things have only gotten worse, especially here in the Sepulveda Pass.
In other words, we spent billions to make traffic worse.
Metro is a major funder of freeway improvements throughout the county, and this year they're putting the pedal to the metal on $1.4 billion in upgrades.
Over the last 12 years, Metro has spent $5 billion on freeway construction, more than $1 million a day. The most recent draft budget increases freeway spending by 81%.
A lot of people think freeway expansions are necessary and they're actually good and they help make traffic better, when there have been many studies done to show that freeway expansions actually make traffic worse.
I mean, you see it all the time. Anytime a new highway is proposed, the officials are always talking about how this will address congestion.
LA Metro already made a case about that and why induced travel is only an academic thing that doesn't apply to its highway expansion.
I think we've been a little bit brainwashed.
Looking forward, Metro's planned freeway widening projects will cost more than $20 billion. For comparison, that could pay for 60 years of fare-free transit or 500 miles of bus rapid transit. Using the Davis team's calculator, we can estimate the freeway expansions will induce 2.5 billion additional vehicle miles traveled in LA County.
We're using our transportation dollars that are limited and somewhat precious, and we're spending those in a way that contravenes our climate goals as a state. Is that the best use of our funds if we're wanting to address systematic inequities of our built environment? Probably not. Definitely not.
There's a really stark reflection of how Metro staff is treating communities of color, especially lower income communities of color. There was way more community engagement with the white residents of Pasadena. Our home might be on the chopping block, or the freeway might be smack dab right in front of our house, depending on what Metro plans are. But they haven't told us what's happening. As far as I know, Metro still wants to potentially take over 500 parcels, and it's going to cut through Unsworth Elementary School, and it's also going to cut through Dennis the Menace Park. So those are two valuable community resources that we will lose.
Across LA County, communities have been decimated trying to fix traffic. More than 1 million people living near freeways breathe poisonous air. We're accelerating climate change as California burns. All this destruction has been for nothing. It's time for it to end. Join us in calling for all freeway widening projects to be stopped permanently in LA County. Visit destructionfornada.com to learn how you can help.